Hey, thanks for listening to Creative Control, as always. As you may have heard me mention, I recently lost my day job, and I've had a few conversations with people since who've said, you had a day job? I thought your podcast was your day job. When I explained why it hasn't been my day job to a friend, he suggested I should share some of this information with people like you listening right now. So, in short, unless they have some giant exclusive $1 million contract, podcasters are not paid to make stuff by companies like Apple and Spotify. Podcasters do not make any money from streaming royalties. Ad revenue is dependent on a certain threshold of downloads each month, and even if your show is accessed 30,000 times a month, the income you get is actually really minimal. So podcasters like me usually make time in our lives to support our communities and our interests to make these shows, and our most reliable source of income for this work is in fact crowdfunding. In my case, it's my Patreon. So if you'd like to receive ad-free episodes earlier than everyone else, regular newsletters and blog posts, bonus audio content, and support my work, quite literally, please visit patreon.com/creativecontrol today. Thanks for listening to Creative Control. While I have you here, please consider supporting Youth Empowerment and Support Services, otherwise known as YES. Based in Edmonton, Alberta, YES provides immediate and low-barrier overnight and day shelter, temporary supportive housing, and individualized wraparound supports for young people aged 15 to 24. They work collaboratively within a network of care focused on the prevention of youth homelessness by providing youth with the necessary supports to stabilize their housing, improve their well-being, build life skills, connect with community, and avoid re-entry into homelessness. Learn more about how to donate or otherwise support YES by visiting yess.org.
Hey, this is Nicole calling from Hamilton, and I needed to let everyone know that I really proudly support Vish and Creative Control. I have for many years, I will for many more, as long as he keeps delivering these amazing interview podcasts. When you hear one of Vish's interviews, you think he's known this guest for years, they're good friends, but the truth is he approaches every interview, whether it's sort of up-and-coming indie artists or established icons or like famous, intimidating comedians with a really deep, genuine curiosity, as so he's never met this person, and the same really warm candor, as so he's known them forever. I think it really lends to a great chat, no matter who he's talking to, and for that reason, I think you should throw Vish, $1 a month? He's got jokes. The jokes make it worth it. Support Creative Control on Patreon.
To make your flexible monthly donation to Creative Control, please visit patreon.com/creativecontrol today. I'm Vish's wife, and remember, when you name a dog Janet or Timothy, you are dragging humanity down just a little bit.
Mary Timony is a talented and respected musician, songwriter, and singer based in Washington, D.C. Known for her work in bands like Autoclave, Helium, Wild Flag, X-Hex, and most recently, Hammered Hulls, Timony ranked at number 95 on Rolling Stone magazine's 2023 list of the 250 greatest guitarists of all time. In between playing in her current bands, she continues her work as a guitar teacher in the D.C. area and found time to make her second solo album, which is the first record she's made under her own name in 15 years. It's called Untame the Tiger. It's wonderful, and it's out on February 23rd, 2024 via Merge Records. And it prompted Mary and I to connect for a good talk about things like her past visits to Alberta, her approach to teaching and creative coaching with women in particular of late, taking care of and then losing her parents and what she learned about herself from those experiences, the way she writes about thinking and her own brain, favorite guitarists like Jimi Hendrix and Christina Billotte, touring a lot, other future plans, and much more. A part of the Entertainment One Network with the support of listeners just like you who follow and subscribe to this donor-driven podcast and spread the word about it, and make flexible monthly donations at patreon.com/creativecontrol, which is the primary and most reliable way for podcasters like me to make a living. There are perks to joining the Patreon, and right now, in February, as I'm speaking to you, our prize pack for the month is courtesy of Merge Records, and you, if you join the Patreon, you can enter a draw to win a copy of Mary Timony's new record, Untame the Tiger. Go to patreon.com/creative control for more information about that and how to support this show and me. Thank you so much. With additional support from Blackbird Music, a wonderful record store with bricks and mortar locations in Edmonton and Calgary, Alberta, and a great website, blackbird.ca, where you can go to order records. They'll ship them right to your house. Say you want a copy of Untame the Tiger by Mary Timony, go to blackbird.ca, type in what you're looking for, and if they can get you a copy, they will. It's just that simple. So thanks to Blackbird and all independent record retailers for your hard work in supporting music across the world. Plus, in-kind support from Pizza Trocadero, The Bookshelf, and Planet Bean Coffee in Guelph, Ontario, and Granddad's Donuts in Hamilton, Ontario. This is episode 839 of Creative Control, featuring the brilliant and iconic Mary Timony, with your host, me, Vish Khanna. Hi, Mary. How's it going?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm very well. It's a pleasure to have you on this show. Where in the world are you today?
I am in Washington, D.C. What about you? Where are you?
I live currently in Edmonton, Alberta.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I didn't realize you were Canadian.
Oh, well, yes. A, number one, I'm Canadian, and B, number two, I don't know if that's how you say those things. I'm from Ontario originally, so I've been in
cool.
Alberta for about 4 years. Yeah.
Nice.
Have you been out this way in your travels?
I have. I think there's Sled Island in Edmonton. Is that
Calgary.
right?
Calgary.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Whoops.
No,
So maybe not.
You've been to Calgary, which is about three hours by vehicle from where I am. Yeah,
that's about the closest I've been, I guess.
And were you at Sled Island with X-Hex or?
Yes.
Yes.
And I think I was there with Wild Flag and X-Hex. And then also I did do a solo thing there once. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, so you've been here many times in a sense.
Yeah. 3. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Some people say 0. Some people say, "Where in the world is that?" You know, they don't even know. So it's nice. That's nice.
Okay. Good to know.
But all Calgary, no Edmonton. Is that what you were getting at?
Yes. I have a good friend that's from Edmonton, so I get confused about whether I've been there or not. But yeah, I guess the answer is no.
Okay. Well, in any case, it's lovely to connect this way. You in DC, me in Edmonton. I want to congratulate you on this wonderful new album, Untame the Tiger, which, as you and I are speaking, the masses haven't heard it yet, but I love it.
Thank you so much.
In a general sense, how are you feeling about it? It's done. It's going to be out soon. What's your vibe at the moment?
Oh, I'm really excited to get on the road and play shows. And I can't wait. Yeah, that's about where I am right now. Just gearing up for tour.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for the year ahead and playing on shows and getting the record out.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good. Have you been off the... I want to get to this because the narrative around the album is like 15 years since your last solo album. But I was thinking about when Alec Mackay was on my show to talk about Hammered Hulls. I'm like, oh, well, Mary was in that band. That was only like a year and a half ago or something.
Oh, yeah.
So you seem like
we've just got back from a bunch of shows, actually. So
right. You haven't been off the road, really. Have you been off the road for any prolonged period in the last, 4 or 5 years?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, during the pandemic, nobody was playing, so... and XX did we did like a short round of shows last year, but not a ton, I would say. Not a ton.
Yeah.
Not a ton. I mean, I was mostly recording.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you like the road. You like being on the road.
Well, yes and no. It can be all kinds of things. It can be really tiring or it can be really fun. It just depends on what kind of shows you're playing and stuff. But this band that I'm going to be playing with for these shows, I'm really, really, really excited about, and everyone's so great, and I'm just super stoked.
Oh, nice.
To do it live. Yeah.
So who's in your live band, if I may ask?
Yeah, so Betsy Wright from XX is going to be joining me on guitar and vocals, and then David Christian, who played drums on part of the record, is playing drums, and he's great. And Chad Moulter, who played bass on part of the record, is going to play. He's awesome. So all three of those guys are just so good. And also Anna Wilson will be joining us on pedal steel, and she's super cool. Actually, she was a guitar student of mine for a long time, a while back. And now she's really gotten so good, and she's going to join us on pedal steel. I'm so excited about that.
Nice. Well, congratulations. I'm excited for you. It's nice to have something like that to look forward to, I'm sure, after some time being kind of sort of grounded, even though you've been busy.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I've been in my basement a lot. So.
It's a nice looking basement from what I can tell. Good job. It looks good. I like all the gear. I like it. It looks really cool. You mentioned a guitar student there, and I keep coming across this as I read about your biographical info, that you've had some notable guitar students on some, like people we would know. Sorry, let me just clarify to anyone listening.
Yeah.
Everyone who marries guitar students is notable in their own way. However, you've taught some people that we would know from their own works. Is that fair?
I think so. Some of them have really gone on to be in music, which is really exciting for me. And but yes, Lindsay from Snail Mail came to me for lessons for, I don't know exactly how long it was. It was the end of her high school, before she started playing in a band and stuff.
Yeah.
But she was already really good. But yeah, so that is the one that you've probably heard of.
Okay, that's the most famous one. Yeah. Okay, so do you, I forget, I can't recall if I ever came across this. Are you kind of trained as a musician, or are you someone who's kind of made it up as you've gone along?
Both.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up playing viola and taking lessons, but then I got into guitar when I was about 14, and I did go to music high school here, with like an arts high school, and so I did that, and then I went to college for a year for classical guitar.
Oh.
And then I just studied English, and I stopped learning. I stopped studying guitar, and I just wanted to just be a punk and write songs. I didn't want to be academic about it anymore, even though I was only whatever. How old was I? 20? I was like, I'm tired of studying about this stuff. But yeah, I did go through a period of about 3 years of that kind of stuff. I was young to feel so tired and over it.
Well, maybe a bit of a rebellious streak or something you got there?
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just realized I'm creative. I'm not, I also I think the school I was in at the time, the music program wasn't geared towards guitar. So there's only one other guitar student in the whole, so it was not a very good program. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, I just felt like writing songs because I'm a creative person, and that really, I just wanted to not think about it and just write songs with 3 chords in them and be loud and scream, basically.
I think we have a sort of similar trajectory in that I was an English major. And
were you?
Yeah. I actually got a couple of the degrees. I'm not bragging. It's like saying you got belts in karate or something, but yeah, I did an undergrad and then a master's in English, and in that time period was playing music with my friends. I'm primarily a drummer, cool. and mostly self-taught. Well, self-taught, but I always found going to shows were the lessons. I would always learn from watching other musicians, and I would be like, I'm going to take that back to the practice space and see if I can do that. And then after a while, you're like, I can kind of do that. Did you learn from watching other?
Everyone that I know who's really good has done some version of that. I don't know if I did as much. I think what I have learned from really good musicians that I know, technically good musicians, they did some version of copying something that they saw or heard. And so like, I don't know if I ever did that enough. Like I did it a little bit, but anyway, I think people do that to varying degrees.
Yeah.
Mostly what self-taught means, I think, is that you are teaching yourself to do what other people have done better. But then there's a type of teaching yourself where you're just like, I guess that's like how people get good at technology. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. There's like trying to make stuff up. Like trying to make stuff up is its own adventure too.
100%. Yeah, my son just went to his first band practice. He took his old, he's like, I have a guitar, right? I'm like, yeah, you do. I bought it for you a long time ago. So he took his like Squire Strat and he's just learning how to play, and he's just like learning to press. But he sent me videos from the first practice and they're already kind of at it. Like they're already there. It's close.
Isn't that wild?
It's so amazing to see it.
Yeah.
And that's all just from a friend. It's just funny because this house has been a music house this whole time, but it took a friend, at 12 years old, a friend finally said, we should jam. And he's like, yes. I want to do that. I want to do that.
That's so cool.
It's really lovely,
good.
actually. Yeah. I want to go back to your guitar teaching for just a moment because you had the experience of having teachers going to school for a little bit. Philosophically, I would think those experiences would inform what you'd want to do and not want to do with your own students. Do you have a particular philosophy as a guitar teacher in terms of, okay, here's how I'm going to approach every student wants to learn cover songs. Am I going to go with that, or am I going to be like, that kind of thing? Do you have a philosophy?
No, I completely try to get them excited and find out. I mean, because when I got into guitar, it represented me gaining some control over my what I wanted to do, and it became something that I focused on that really helped my mood and helped me figure out who I am. So I think subconsciously I'm trying to find that in kids that I work with.
Right.
So anyway, I think what I've noticed is it only really, sometimes it'll work if I try to get them to follow what they're excited about, but I can't do it too much because then, because I obviously, can help guide them. So I try to also combine it with like note reading and like, here's a easy classical song. I don't know. But lately I have been working with more adults and more on sort of like creative coaching with people where I'm like helping them to get into songwriting and start recording and sort of like more creativity stuff. So that's really, I really enjoy that. It's really fun.
That sounds cool. That sounds great.
Yeah. That's more a coaching kind of stuff, but I really enjoy that a lot.
This might seem like a trite question, but do you find you learn about the instrument and approaches to the instrument in teaching others? Like, do they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Because you have to constantly keep relearning it yourself. So yeah, absolutely. I've learned a lot from teaching.
Oh, wow.
I've learned so much. Yep. And the biggest thing I get out of it is just connecting with people. It's, it's just I'm very grateful for it.
Oh, that's lovely. That's nice. Well, I'm glad I asked because I saw it floating around and I assume you're still teaching today. Like you're an active teacher.
I am. It's more, what I'm doing now is more creative coaching with women, adults.
Okay.
I have a couple high school students. Somehow it's just, I've worked mostly with women lately. So yeah, it's almost like mentoring or like producing kind of what I'm doing now with people who are just starting bands and just starting to get confident enough to write songs and kind of like working through making an album with them, and it's really fun. Yeah.
Are you consciously working primarily with women?
It sort of just happened. Those are people that seek me out, and I don't have very many students right now because I can't, I'm too busy. So it just sort of happened that way. I did have some kids. I had boys that were really awesome like last year, but yeah, no, it's mostly women right now.
I mean, that's to me, that's a nice pattern or trend, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just sort of a energetic thing that makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I want to get back to your own musical pursuits.
Yeah.
I alluded to the fact that on paper, anyway, you haven't. Well, let's be honest about it. You haven't released a solo record in around 15 years, as I'm speaking. I believe that's correct. If that is correct, but you've, like I also said, you've been very busy and you've been playing with other people. You've been nurturing and touring with X and other bands. The solo distinction. Why do you suppose that is? Why haven't you released music under your own name for so long?
Oh, well, I did it. How many years was that? All throughout my 30s. So I just lost the fire for a while because it's hard to promote yourself. It's more fun when you're on a team.
Right.
So I started I was not motivated to do any more solo records because it's hard. You're like calling all the shots and like, you know, it's kind of lonely in a way. So yeah, I just was having a better time being part of a team.
Yeah.
In a band for a while. And then this record made sense to do solo because the songs just sounded like solo songs to me when I started writing them, and I wanted to do like acoustic guitars, and I don't know, it just sort of made sense for a solo record. And also I was writing it during the pandemic, and
I see, right.
I didn't have any time pressure. And also as maybe you saw if you saw the bio, but I had a really seriously challenging stuff going on in my life. So my life was a little bit on hold because my parents both got sick at the same time. And that was really intense. And I just had a real challenge for about 4 years of caretaking both of them on my own. So I was kind of like doing that and writing these songs, and it just everything got stripped away, and it just made sense to just,
yeah,
I don't know, be writing for my own record.
Yeah. So it's, sorry, first of all, my condolences to you on the loss of your parents.
Oh, thanks.
And
yeah.
Within that same time period, I believe you also, a significant relationship of yours ended as well?
Yeah, it was like it was like a crazy blender. It was like, yeah, the relationship ended at the same time my dad got cancer, and then my dad got dementia. It was just like a lot of reshifting of my everyday consciousness, and it was like nothing that I wanted to happen. So it was a lot of loss and very painful. But I also was like in survival mode, mostly because of my dad, who had a dementia. So things got crazy really fast with him. And it was every day there was a new crisis. And he had like the frontal lobe kind, I guess. So he just had really intense behavior right away, very suddenly after this operation. So for example, like he got in the car and got in an accident and like just all kinds. It was like it was really, really hard.
Oh, no.
It chilled out after about 6 months. He got less dramatic and totally lovely. And it turned into like, it was hard because he was sick, but just a wonderful time where I just had all this quality time with him. And he got really into music and singing and poetry. And it was sad, but it was actually also really awesome, and I bonded with him a lot. So it was beautiful too. Then during all that, my mom got sick with cancer. So it was a really intense, and I also had another family member who I was caretaking. So it was just a wacky, stressful, crazy time in my life. Everything, sometimes, when it rains, it pours. So that was one of those things, and it was hard. But looking back on it, I learned a lot, and anyway, I don't regret the time with my parents. It was great. I mean, in some ways, looking back on it, but didn't feel that way at the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun for them. It was definitely not fun for them. Not fun for me, but I wouldn't have done it any other way. I'm so grateful that I got that time with them.
Yeah.
But so the record is intense because I was writing the songs when my dad was sick, and then he died, and then right before I started recording the record, and then the whole next year is dealing with my mom who had gotten cancer. And that was really heartbreaking and hard. And then she died right as I finished the record. So it was like kind of bookended. It was an intense time. Yeah.
Again, I'm very sorry that you endured that.
Yeah, it's life.
Yeah.
No, we all go through this, you know, thank you. But it was just my time, and everybody's going through this or will go through this. And yeah. It
is, I will say, I feel sorrow, but I'm also heartened to hear that you feel like you learned something about life.
Oh, yeah. I got so much that I learned. I mean, I think one thing that I really got out of it is just letting go of all my priorities shifted, I guess. And like, I got really more objective about life and less scared of anything, because you know what I mean? Like when you're like, you know, dealing with some crisis with, you know, I mean, I could think of any number of things that went wrong with my, you know, but anyway, things just get into perspective. So like, I'm trying to like make this impossible decision about my mother's, you know, health or whatever. Like, I'm not going to be then scared to like make a small decision with my record. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everything went. So like in the past, I might've been like kind of afraid to like, you know, like, ooh, should I make this decision, or like, can I ask this person for something? But then like after dealing with all the difficulty around life that I had for 4 years there, I became much less scared of little things. Let little things get me down a lot less, which made making my record just a joy, actually, and rather than like something that was difficult. It became my escape and the something fun I could do. But yeah, so that's what I got, and just really appreciating the time that we have here in the world is something that I learned, you know, and yeah, it just was so nice to be able to be there for my parents, actually, in some ways, and just maybe reevaluate what life is all about. And I just learned, like, yeah, just not to be scared of it, of little things.
I want to dial into that perspective that you're sharing, that you got out of this experience, because there's a line in the bio that I was sent that stuck out for me, and it says, Timony's many triumphs have long been counterbalanced by crippling doubt and self-nullification. So you're talking about being on the other side of that, I think, on some level now, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, yeah.
As much as you can be.
Well, yes. No, that is what I'm talking about. I guess I didn't go quite into that, but yes.
But what I want to ask about this perspective you have on yourself is, does this experience give you any insight as to why you've endured this doubt and self-nullification? Like, that's pretty...
Well, that's the part I didn't go into.
Oh, okay, sorry.
But let me think about that. Well, I've always had... Okay, the part I didn't go into is that I had a really difficult time growing up and difficult relationship with my parents.
I see.
They, you know, were... As much as I love them, complicated people, as a lot of people are, and they had really difficult childhoods, extremely, and as a result had wounding, you know, like a lot of people do. So anyway, I never took myself very seriously as a musician because they didn't take me seriously as a musician. They didn't want me to be a musician. My mom hated my music, actually.
Oh, no.
It was just very strange. It's I had a very complicated relationship about my music with my parents. So it was an interesting process to then be their caretaker, you know. So I undid a lot of that damage in my own brain in the last few years from having everything shifting. So that is sort of what I've been working on, is just letting go of a lot of the negativity that I had about my own about myself and my creative, having chosen to do this as something with my life. And I just have let some of that negativity go in the last couple years by being very conscious of it and working on it.
That's amazing.
Well,
again, it's sad that it takes such loss and contemplation to achieve growth. But it is, like I say, it's really inspiring to hear that you've achieved that. And I'm sorry you had a difficult relationship with your parents. And my parents were are also worried about my choices in terms of where I went. Most of the East Indian kids where I grew up in Canada, they wanted to get into medicine or law, pretty safe things. And every once in a blue moon, I'm like, damn it, I probably should have done that.
Really?
Because now I'm sweating it. No, not really. I don't think I'd be happier, but it's just a false it suggests that financial stability leads to happiness, which I don't agree with.
Right.
But there is then also like, do my parents like me? Do my parents respect me and the choices I make? I can't tell. And it's whether we rebel or not, it's really important to us, isn't it? That they respect us.
Well, it's not really a choice. It's like something a biological thing that happens when you're a child, that you need to belong to the group. So you're going to automatically believe, like have certain beliefs that make you try to bond with them and to protect yourself as a kid. Yeah. So then you have to kind of like maybe challenge those thoughts if they're not working for you when you're an adult. Yeah. But our parents just wanted the best and wanted us to be safe and all this stuff. But maybe, and also there's just cultural differences and generational differences, and the world's changing fast. I don't know about, it sounds like maybe your parents came from a different
they literally came from India. They came from India in the mid to mid 70s and came to Canada with nothing. Some family is already here. Like it, I have to, as I get older, I appreciate what they actually went through more. Were your parents immigrants or anything like that?
No, but they definitely had much different upbringings. My dad was, just super poor. Raised himself up by his bootstraps kind of thing. He came from the coal miners, but his dad was Irish and, and he put himself, the whole story, went to the army, put himself through law school, did really well, really, really well, considering how he grew up. And my mom had a hard time, last of like 9 kids and so they just were and she was from a small town in South Dakota and raised really religious. So and then it's like they moved to, I had kids in DC who grew up to be liberal and like artists, and they're just like, even though they were very artsy actually, but they couldn't follow their dream. Especially my mother, she actually was an actress, and then she ran into some difficult situations and couldn't do it anymore because anyway, it's just hard. It was harder for women in the 50s. So I'm sort of going on a tangent, but that's a different life. That's
a thing with people who've had their dreams dashed. They worry that their kids are going to get married to a dream and not achieve it. So it's really, I don't know your whole situation. It sounds like it was quite difficult, but I think something painful happened to some people's parents. And their way of making sure you don't make the same mistakes is to try to protect you from enduring that same pain.
Yes, absolutely.
But it doesn't come, sometimes it comes across more harsh than loving. Like why don't you just go to medical school or why don't you just do this? And you're like, what are you?
I know. My mom never gave up the dream. My poor mom. I know, because she wanted to be an actress. Anyway, she decided that would be as a terrifying thing and the wrong thing to do for anyone. So that even up until the past 5 years, she was going, when are you going to law school? When are you going to law school?
Yeah.
I want you to go to, I'm like, Mom, you know what the best gift I can give to the world is not going to law school, because I'd be the world's worst lawyer. Like, do you understand? My brain does not work that way.
It's hard work. It's not for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think the world needs me as a lawyer in it.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about your parents, and I think rightly so. As I ponder "Untame the Tiger" and the lyrics, I mostly feel like it's informed by the loss of your relationship that we were alluding to as well.
Yeah.
But I just want to ask kind of a twofold question based on what we were just talking about and the experience you had with your parents and in terms of your own growth. Do you see ways on the album that songs have been informed by what we've just been talking about, or is it primarily about the end of that relationship you were in?
Oh, the songs, well, let me see. The lyrics, I would say like No Thirds is kind of a song about losing things that you had that you didn't know you were going to lose, and just life seeming sort of like this empty, huge, vast space ahead, but not necessarily having that be scary, but just a different thing that you didn't expect. And so that song is really about loss and what comes after that. I'm trying to think, but yeah, no, a lot of them are probably love songs, I would say. I'm trying to remember.
Well, I actually have a thread I want to follow here.
Okay. No, I can think of a couple other that are sort of about families. Okay, yeah, and go with your thread.
Well, while you're pondering that, in the thirds, there's a line here. Now the dead leaves are blowing around in my mind. We only know this one life at a time. I wanted to ask you about your sense of humor on this record, and one of the things I highlighted was the chorus and "Don't Disappear." This made me laugh. Yeah. If you fall, don't be afraid. I've got you in my brain parade. Yeah. I alluded just a moment ago to a lyric about your mind. This one's about your brain. I feel like you're thinking. Are you thinking a lot about thinking? Is that part of what's going on, do you think?
I've always been stuck in my head. Yeah. And I need to come out of it. And I've been getting more out of my head in the last year. I've been trying to live in my body. It's hard when you are someone who, sometimes when you're a kid, it hurts to live in your body and you want to just disappear and disassociate. And I think that's something that happens. People do. That's a way of, dealing with stress when you're a little kid. And I did that a bunch. So I think I have lived in my head a lot. And I think, like, my lyrics are always talking about your mind or your brain. Yeah, it's true. But I'm trying to get out of that, and I am definitely, even like every day I do all these exercises to like wake up my body and stuff, learn how to sing and like stretch, because I'm like weird. So yeah, no. But anyway, the brain parade. Yeah, I don't know. I was just imagining when you meet somebody you really like and you really want to talk to them. It's like being like, there's a parade in your brain. It's like the Macy's Day Parade in your brain, or the Easter Parade, or whatever.
So you're self-aware that you often write or sing about your brain and your mind and thinking.
Oh, yeah, I've noticed that.
So is it conscious or subconscious that you write lyrics like these?
It's subconscious.
Wait a minute. So the subconscious in your brain.
Stream of consciousness.
It's stream of consciousness, subconsciousness telling you, write about me. Write about me, the brain. Write about me.
So weird. You're right. I don't know what that is.
Well, I didn't mean to take us down a weird road, but I noticed that imagery a couple of times. This notion of thinking about thinking. You were going to say something, and I cut you off, and I apologize about song.
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, I'll try to remind you in your brain right now.
Oh, about the families?
Yeah. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So there was one song called "Looking for the Sun."
Oh, yes. That's a beautiful song.
That one, oh, thanks. Yeah. But that one I wrote when I had to clear out my parents' house. They lived there. We had lived there since 1973. And I had to figure out what to do with all of this stuff. And my mom had done an incredible job of always getting rid of things. She didn't like holding on to things, except for one room, which they had literally shut the door. It was in the basement of the house. And anyway, it's hard to explain, but there was a lot of memories in that room, from books and photographs to just things that, for whatever reason, nobody wanted to go in this room. So I had to go clean it out, and it was really, really intense. And I just was having a lot of memories come back, and then I would, in order to help myself get through that day, I started writing that song in my head, and yeah, so that is where that song came from.
It kind of, I noticed that Dave from Fairport Convention is on this record, and that song in particular drew me to that kind of sound, if that makes any sense, like a Richard Thompson, or it has, I don't know how to explain it, I'm not smart enough, forgive me, Mary, but almost like a drone like repetition.
The song has a drone in it because I'm actually on the guitar droning on the E string or the D string or whatever it is. I tuned down to a D.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I associate that with kind of like a mystical folk.
Yeah,
idea.
No, it sounds a little modal and like old. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Dave Maddox also was an incredible. That whole thing was just fucking awesome. That somehow I ended up playing with him on this record. It was like such an incredible experience. That song was really fun to play with him because I really just gave it to Chad and Dave Maddox and just said, here's something, come up with a part, and they just came up with the best stuff, and it was so fun to play with them. So that was one of the best, I would say, doing that recording session with Dave Maddox. He played on about half the record. I'm such a huge fan of him, and I've always loved Fairport Convention and like every offshoot, like love Steel Eyed Span, and he's played in like so many things that I just absolutely love, and on so many records that I have listened to over and over and over. So getting him to play was just such a dream.
How do you actually? So he must be in his 70s, I'm guessing, right?
Yep, he lives in Boston. My friend Joe Wong, who produced the record with me, and my friend Dennis Kane, knew him because he has a really amazing podcast called Trap Set.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Joe's been on this show, by the way, at one point.
Oh, yes. Yeah. He's one of my really closest friends. He's an amazing dude. But so he knew Dave Maddox because he'd interviewed him and just said, hey, Mary, why don't we ask Dave Maddox if he'll play on the record? And I was like way too scared, and I thought that would never... It just didn't seem like something that could happen. But then one day I was like, as I was saying, I lost a lot of, in the past I would have been too anxious and just been like, that is too crazy. He'll never play with, but no, we just called him and he was like, yeah. So we flew him out to LA, and it was like incredible. He was so good and such a nice person. And so it was just wonderful. You mentioned, I'm really happy with it.
That's amazing. You mentioned Joe. Do you want to talk a little bit about who you collaborated with on? You mentioned some bandmates, I think, as well already, but and obviously Dave. But who all did you work with on this record? And within that, what did they bring to the proceedings for you?
Well, Joe produced with me and helped me come up with ideas for this, recording, and my friend Dennis Kane produced with me. He was amazing, and he did a lot of the guitars with me right here in this basement. And then I got, as I was saying, Dave Maddox and my friend Chad Moulter played bass, and Chad's played on one of my other solo records, and we've done a bunch of touring. And Joe Wong played drums with me on some tours too. Yeah. Back in the day. And then I also recorded with David Christian on drums and Brian Betancourt on bass, and they're both totally amazing too. So it was just really good people, and Betsy Wright sang, and I just got people that I love that are great, and it was really fun to record.
There's string sections that come in and stuff that just kind of blow me away.
Also, thank you so much. Yes, that's Paul Cartwright. He's incredible. My friends Amy and Winston did some strings too, and those guys are so good. Yeah. So
it's a character on some of the songs. Like I'm just like, oh wow, it just kind of opens it up. Earlier I invoked one song in particular, Don't Disappear, and I wanted to ask you about humor. We've talked about some of the I don't know, sad aspects of your life that may have informed these songs. But that song, The Guest, which is about loneliness, but very funny in its own way.
Oh, thanks.
How,
that's nice.
Yeah, well, I like comedy.
It's kind of funny. Yeah.
What role do you think humor plays in your practice? Both, I think, as a songwriter, which is maybe the most obvious part, but there also, every once in a while, as I was listening on headphones, I would hear what I assume are just overdubbed guitar parts that are just like, oh, that's just a clever detail. It's not funny, but it's clever. So I just wonder if you feel like humor and levity plays a role in your work generally and on this record. Can you speak to that?
Well, sure. I mean, it's all sort of connected, I would say. And I like that you're seeing that, because normally people don't really get that, I guess. But, but no, it is kind of funny to like imagine like loneliness coming to your door and knocking, and then you have this whole conversation with them. But I don't know if it's like, it's not really a joke exactly, but it's sort of making it into. I see where you're going, but yeah, I don't know. A lot of times when there's funny things in the lyrics to me, they don't really translate to other people. So that's not, and I'm just sort of used to that.
Well, I think to say to someone, you are always on my mind, or I've been thinking about you, but put it in the imagery of a brain parade.
Yeah,
is very funny. You've made this very warm sentiment kind of cold. Which is just gives it this tension that I think is funny. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? That's just one example.
I think Dominoes is kind of funny too. I mean, laughing at myself, I would say that song is. Wait, I'm talking like Yoda. I think that's in that song. I am kind of laughing at myself for always choosing the most obvious, complete wrong person in relationships. So.
Is that a common? Is that I don't know? Sorry again about the ending of that relationship.
Oh no, not that guy. Well, probably that guy, but yeah, it's like I just go for the one guy who's like on drugs and whatever else could be possibly wrong with someone. That's if they have enough of them, I'll go for that guy. Usually, in this period of self-reflection and self-awareness, that song begins. When I met you, you were talking like a madman who just got high. Yes. But I thought I could see right through it to the space behind your eyes. Yes, that's a true story. Yeah,
so that's interesting imagery. But you're writing about like I knew from the moment. Yeah, we met.
I'm like, okay, this guy is nonstop talking. He's probably got a bunch of things in the DSM that you could say about him. The DSM manual, like maybe borderline, I don't know, like whatever that I probably have too. But I'm like, okay, certifiably crazy. He's my guy. I'm gonna see if he wants to date me. That's my style.
So in some ways, they're not pointed songs about the people. You're kind of laughing at yourself sometimes.
Yes, and there's probably two different people in that song. Okay. No, I just have had a history of always choosing the one guy that everyone warns you about is the bad news. That's the one I'm going to go for.
As an umbrella concept and based on the content of the song as in terms of how I'm interpreting it, can you talk about Untame the Tiger? Because that's an evocative...
That's also same thing.
Same exact idea?
Apparently. No, well, that was song.
Again, if I may, thought I was through with you and the tiger was tamed. Yeah. But now my brain is running hot.
Yeah, brain again, right? Yep.
So it's, and thinking.
And I'm counting all the rain. That's supposed to mean raindrops, like you're counting the raindrops.
Yes, that's right. Right. So you're talking, okay, it's just, I'm not, that's not meant to be a psychoanalysis. I know it's close.
Fun. I like I never think about this stuff except after I wrote it. So yeah, let's talk about, that's a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah. Cause all this song, now I got a dragon in my mind.
Yes.
And I'm staring into space. All I ever do is talk to you in my imagination. So there's just all about thinking.
I'm so in my way. You got to get out of my head here. So that song is about when you're obsessed with someone and it's just driving you nuts. Like the dragon in my mind means like that little voice in your head that's like saying stuff like, stop obsessing about this guy.
Yes.
That kind of thing. But yeah, it's just about, being obsessed with someone and it's a bad idea, but you just can't stop. And you thought you got over it, but then it came back and you're like, why am I doing this? I know it's a bad idea, but I can't. I give up. I can't help it. But also just going with that. Just going with it. Just like, God, I'm getting some good songs out of it, so what the hell? At least I got that. Yeah.
So as a kind of ruminative songwriter, which I think we're landing on, you're doing some contemplation in your practice of your life and the people you encounter and experiences you've had. We've talked a lot about how you've come out the other side of the losses you've experienced and the pain you've experienced, and you've learned a lot about yourself, I think, on some level.
Yeah.
In terms of actually making this record, finishing it, in an overarching sense, did you come away? I know I've prodded you to talk about some of these songs, but do you come out of this process feeling like you've actually learned something about yourself from making Untame the Tiger?
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot. I love the recording process because of that, because it is such a challenge, and it is, I am sorry, but it is really hard. It's really hard. If you want to do it, in my opinion, if you want to do it well, it's really hard to do. It's really, really hard to do. And even if you want to do it well and you don't do it well, it's still really hard. And that's even harder, because then you have to live knowing that you didn't do it your best. So I was really lucky this record, in that I was able to record a bunch of it in my basement with my friend Dennis, and we just worked on it until we got it how we wanted it, which I've never really been able to do that before. So I feel good about it, but it was hard. It was hard to get it to be how you want it, and in terms of like having to, we had to redo a lot of stuff. Yeah. And a lot of, I learned so much about myself, my God. And I learned so much about how to record, and things that I do that aren't effective. I learned a lot about that. My God, I learned so much about recording, and just about mixing was insane. We mixed for months.
So a lot of process oriented stuff is where you're.
Yeah. The main thing I learned about it is when you write a song and you record it, all it is a story, and you got to make everything work around the story and not get sidetracked by anything else. As long as it tells a story and tells it well, then you're doing okay. But there's so much that goes into that in terms of just the instruments and the sounds, and oh my God, it's really complicated. But anyway, I learned a lot of kinds of things that I do that get in my own way, and that I don't, boy, yes, it was a real challenge, but so fun. And I really have to say that my favorite part of this whole thing of being a musician is recording. It's the hardest, and it's the most rewarding to me. I really enjoy it.
It's the most tangible way of capturing your idea, right?
Yeah.
It's just on the learning thing, those of us who are musicians, sometimes those foundational inspirations they become like a default. Like every time I pick up a guitar or play the drums, my initial warm-up is to play like someone I have always played like, or whatever, till I adapt to the moment or whatever. Are you someone who has had different guitar heroes, so to speak, or do you get obsessed with guitarists at different points in your life? And if so, has there been anyone recently?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Well, growing up, or, when I was in high school, or just in general, ever since high school, I've always loved Hendrix the most. Yeah. Everything about him was just genius. Joni Mitchell's another genius. I love her guitar playing. I like so many guitar players. My favorite, I love Richard Thompson. Obviously, he's just so wonderful. I think those are the big ones. I learned so much from Ash Bowie when I played with him in Helium. He's band is his band in the 90s is Polvo.
Mm-hmm.
I probably learned the most from him than anyone. He's a total genius. I don't know. It's hard to even explain. He's just beyond. I don't think the world will ever know because he doesn't want to make any records anymore. But yeah, he's amazing. I learned a lot from Christina Billotte when I played with her in Autoclave. She has a band called Casual Dots that just made a record, which is incredible.
Yeah, they've been on the show.
Oh, really? Yeah. Awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
I love her
all of them
so
were
much.
actually. I think it was last year. Yeah, we had all three on. It was great. We had a really good time, and my family loved that last record. Do they have a new one coming out as well, or?
It came out about a year ago.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
So
is it
good.
called Sanguine Truth?
Yeah.
Is that the one? Yeah. Sorry, my brain is so full of information. I'm impressed that I got that out. I think that's the correct title.
Yeah. Well, awesome.
We really
it's
liked
really
it.
good. So maybe that's why you remember.
That's probably why. Yeah.
It's pretty
I really,
remarkable, I think.
Yeah. It's very nice. Guy sent me copies of it, of their records. And I was like, okay, thanks, Guy. And then I was like, this is amazing. So that's how we hooked it up.
So good. Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like it's mostly your peers then. It's not, sorry. I'm not suggesting you were friendly with Jimi Hendrix, but a lot of your peers and collaborators.
Well, those two, yeah, and then, well, definitely not Richard Thompson or Hendrix or Joni Mitchell. Oh my God, I don't know. Like I love Judas Priest. I don't know. There's so many.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to put you on the. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I just wondered.
No,
if
you're
there
not.
was
I'm just trying to rack my brain because I could literally probably just. It's every great musician I appreciate. I don't know. There's just so many good ones. It's hard to.
Yeah,
choose.
I wondered if like Untame the Tiger has a very distinctive guitar part, and it reminded me of a few different things, but among them actually was Mark Knopfler, which I don't know. People don't talk about.
That one. I've heard that on that song because it's pretty soft because he plays with his fingers.
Yeah,
he doesn't use a pick, I guess.
Yeah.
So someone else told me that about that song.
Oh, okay.
Too, so,
I'm not alone.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I just was curious if some stuff like that just seeps through, or you were on a kick of like with your friends, or everyone's like, have you listened to Dire Straits recently? And then everyone gets, your friend group will suddenly listen to something like everyone's listening to television all of a sudden. So you're like, I haven't listened to television in a while.
That's another one.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Yeah.
That band, so good.
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to thank you for being on the show, and I hope we got to some stuff here that,
thank
that
you.
was useful and all that
Hopefully
sort of
I
thing.
didn't say anything too embarrassing.
No, you did. No. If anyone
I did, just I'll just go with it.
If anyone did, it was me
Fine.
for sure. Don't worry about it. Now, I want to ask you about future plans, and also ask you where you'd like people to go to connect with you. Let's start with the future plans. Obviously, you've got this great record coming out. Can you give us a sense of what else is coming up for you in 2024 and beyond?
Well, in 2024, we'll be on tour in the U.S. in March. So check out the show listing and come out and see us. And then we're going to play in July too in the South, actually. And what else? I'm playing also with my friend Joe Wong in his band. Just gearing up. Well, when the interview's out, it'll already have happened, but we're playing on the West Coast next week. Okay. And then we'll probably be playing over the summer. So yeah, I just plan on being, doing a bunch of shows this year.
Okay. Mostly touring. Are you writing at all of late?
Not quite yet. I'll probably start that this year at some point.
Okay. Good for you. That's great. I'm glad to hear you're inspired and busy. That's always great to hear. If people want to kind of keep tabs on you beyond Merge Records, I suppose, and their website, where would you like them to go?
I suppose I'm on Instagram, so that's a good place. So you can look me up on Instagram. Or I have a website.
Okay. Sorry, I know it can be awkward to plug your links.
No, that's good. No, check me out on Instagram. It's Mary T Money with a $.
Oh, there you go.
Mary Timony.
Okay, got it. That's good.
Mary
Timony. Got it. Mary Timony. Money. Mary T Money on some. Anyway, now I'm getting carried away. I'm sorry. Now, if we can go out on a song from this beautiful album, I wonder, Mary, if you can choose one for us and let us know why it came to mind.
Well, I have two, so I'm not quite sure. I'll just pick one randomly.
Yeah.
I would just say go with Summer. It's one of the singles, and it's kind of more of a rockin' song. It's fun. I had a fun time doing 2 guitar solos at the same time at the end.
Yeah, 2 guitar solos. That's unusual.
At the same time. Yeah. It's like, so there's one solo and then there's another solo at the same time.
Yeah, just to be clear, they're not harmony solos. They're 2 different solos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
fun
a clear
to
distinction.
me. I just liked making it messy.
Is it wrong to suggest this might have a casual Dots vibe?
Oh, nothing's wrong. Don't worry.
Okay. I only mean because I'm relying completely on my memory of both things. And I feel maybe a little tiny bit.
Everything I do has a little bit of Christina Billotte in it.
There you go.
I love her. So, yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's hear it now. This is Summer from the excellent new album Untame the Tiger by Mary Timony. Mary, I hope I've conveyed to you enough that this was a tremendous honor for me to get to have you on the show. And it was also a real pleasure. So thank you for making time for me. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I wish you the best luck in the future. And, well, I hope we talk soon.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
It was quite a thrill to have Mary Timony on this show. We have a lot of mutual friends, so it was lovely to connect with someone I've admired for a long, long time. Mary, thank you so much for being on this, the 839th episode of Creative Control, which for all of you listening out there is part of the Entertainment One Podcast Network and is available just about wherever you get your podcasts. If you can't find an episode you're looking for, or if you want to learn more about me and sign up for my monthly newsletter, please visit my site there, vishkhanna.com. You can also like Creative Control or follow it on various social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads. There's a YouTube channel. I have updated my link tree, which you can click on in the show notes where it says follow Vish online. just click on that, and you should be able to follow me and like things and subscribe to things and whatever. All those things right there. So thank you for doing that. Also, please visit patreon.com/creative control to make a flexible monthly donation to keep this podcast going. Any amount you can afford to provide is obviously appreciated. Perks begin pretty much at the $4 level currently. You get ad-free episodes earlier than everybody else. And then as you go up the tiers, you'll see other perks. $6 or more a month grants you access to kind of exclusive content, bonus material. $10 American or more a month actually gets you access to our monthly prize pack draws, which, as I'm speaking to you in February 2024, by the end of the month, I'll be giving away a Merge Records prize pack, which includes a copy of Mary Timony's record, Untame the Tiger, among other great things. So for more information and to provide support for me and this work, again, please, if you can, visit patreon.com/creative control. I thank you so much. Speaking of thanks, I want to thank Blackbird Music, wonderful record store with bricks and mortar locations in Calgary and Edmonton, Alberta, but also a worldwide website, blackbird.ca, where anyone can go and look up things to order and have them shipped to their houses or places of business or to someone you love, maybe as a gift. You know, you can do whatever you like. Blackbird.ca for more info there. Also want to thank Pizza Trocadero, The Bookshelf, and Planet Bean Coffee in Guelph, Ontario, and Granddad's Donuts in Hamilton, Ontario. All fine independent businesses who provide in-kind support for this show. Also want to thank Jim Guthrie for lending me some music for this show. You can learn more about Jim at jimguthrie.org. And last but not least, thank you so much for listening this far into this episode with Mary Timony. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. If you're unfamiliar with Mary, I hope you'll dig into her new album and her amazing catalog of records. If you're a big fan of Mary's, I hope you found this revealing and interesting. And that's it. I hope you will subscribe to this podcast and follow it, and that's it. I keep saying that's it, but I mean it this time. I will talk to you very soon. Bye for now. Seriously, that's it.